Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Not Just Business. If you've listened to previous episodes, you will know that this is where we discuss the human side of business, what makes people tick, what puts them off, and how the way they walk, talk, and feel affects their success or not. We interview entrepreneurs and business people who have made it, and the coaches, mentors, and consultants who have helped them make it. I'm fortunate to be at the offices, or rather the premises of eHire, being hosted today by the CEO himself, a young man with a lot of passion for the business, and his name is Greeff. He's the chief executive of eHire. Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's unusual to find a chartered accountant in premises like this.
Yeah.
And the listeners will notice the sound of trucks and stuff, but that's fine. I mean, that's where we are.
Yeah, we're in the warehouse.
Yeah. So how did you end up here?
So what eHire is an event hiring supplier within the Cape Town and Western Cape area. And what we do is we hire out products that people either don't have enough of or don't have at all, and they need it temporarily for an event or a function. And then what we do is we deliver everything such as glassware, crockery, cutlery, furniture. And then once you're done with your event, we collect it and make it as seamless as possible. I know you mentioned being a chartered accountant. And I think that what got me here, my background as a CA is when I was studying, I studied at the University of Cape Town. And while I was studying in my second year, I started a hospitality staffing business. We did training and then hiring out of waitrons and bartenders for different events and functions. And that business grew and grew, and then it helped pay for the school fees. And then basically from there in 2017, when I qualified as a chartered accountant, I moved full-time into the business, and we looked to expand, and we acquired a hiring business that was 25 years old at the time. And from there, we merged them and rebranded as eHire, which is what it is known today. And now we purely focus on the hiring of products, and the staffing side we've actually sold on to another business.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You must have had a few stumbling blocks along the way here.
Definitely.
To this point where you are now. Can you tell us about some of them?
For me, I view entrepreneurship as a combination of tiny or little experiments that sum up into one big experiment, which is either the business is a success or not. And I think that the little experiments that we've been trying along the way that haven't worked, if I look at it, the one side that we really were so confident would work, which did not work, was when we arrived here, the industry is very offline. The caterers, restaurants, event planners, everyone would really deal with email as a key communication channel when ordering from hiring companies. And so what we wanted to do differently is we created an online website with pricing online. You can literally add everything to your cart and check out and, submit your quote request. And we really thought that all the caterers and the restaurants and everyone would just go to that and, that would be it. And the inverse happened. Literally everyone still orders through email and, phone call, which is super interesting. And that's what we call our B2B client, our business-to-business client. What we found, though, is that the B2C client, the private clients, like me and you, if we're having an event, this weekend at our home or, something small like a birthday, they actually go onto our website and they use the website a lot because they are very much, I've found, open to it, and it's a lot easier for them to do it at 10 p.m. at night. Mm-hmm. But we found that the caterers and so on prefer the email communication because they're on their laptop already on the email. So that was quite a fail of an experiment, but at the same time, it resulted in a mini success on the other side.
Yeah. So you sort of run a hybrid system at the moment.
Yeah, that's completely correct.
Okay. Yeah, there's this old fallacy in the IT business when you build it and they will come.
Yeah, it wasn't the type of client that came that we expected, so it was very cool.
I once, in a company I was running, a large life insurance company, I introduced a new way of doing things, quite a major change, and it cost millions to implement. And nobody was going to lose a job. Basically, everybody was just changing jobs from the way they used to do things to the way
Yes.
And there was so much resistance that we actually had a couple of resignations from management people with nowhere else to go. There's just this thing of, I don't want to change. I'm very comfortable where they are, and this change is really rocking my boat.
It's funny you say that because when I arrived here, when we acquired the business, it was called another name previously, and we had people that had been here for 20 years, for 15 years, and it really was tough for them. We did have one person resign because I think she just communicated that it was just too much change. And that was a big learning curve for me as well, because, I really, my personality, I thrive off of change. I really enjoy it. And what I found is that a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't like too much change. And if there is going to be a change, the big learning around that for me has been really communicated and then just repeat it and then repeat it again, just to make sure that you haven't miscommunicated in any way. My view on all of these areas is that from an extreme ownership point of view, if someone doesn't understand it, it means that I haven't explained it correctly. It doesn't mean that they've done anything. Like, I really believe that if someone else doesn't understand things, it means that I could have done in a better way or a different way.
I was trying to introduce another initiative to a bunch of colleagues at the previous firm, and I could see I wasn't getting through, and one of them chaps, who was about 2 ranks below me, had the courage to come up to me and he said, "Mr. Pete, we have a saying in Xhosa, which goes, I can't repeat the Xhosa version, but it says, people don't understand what you're saying, it means you're not explaining it properly."
Yes, yeah, completely.
So that was a lesson for me too, So
I think also that's abantu abakondi.
Okay, all right. So
abantu people don't understand. They don't understand something like that.
Einstein's got another version, or had another version. If you can't explain it in simple terms, it means you don't understand it well enough.
Yes, 100%.
It's okay. So tell me about your team. Who's the team that surrounds you?
How we've kind of structured the business is myself. I'm the CEO of the business. I focus on the strategy and the environment of the workplace. And then I have my right-hand man, Chase, and he is the Chief Operations Officer. And what he focuses on is very much on actually the running of the business. So he will be responsible for warehousing, logistics, the orders, or the sales side of the business, the processing side. And then I take responsibility, just for making sure that all of those teams are aligned to what we're doing, and of course in communication with Chase. And then on my, call it left-hand man, is Josh. And Josh very much assists us from the financing side and really make sure that we're commercially viable and running at a economic positive side of things rather than just in dreamland.
Of course, the best teams are diverse, not only in the traditional terms of race and sex, but in thought process. And so I'm sure from time to time there's disagreement about how things should be done. How are those resolved?
Definitely. It's funny because the three of us, we did a personality test, and completely different. So where I'm in our personality test that we did, I'm what they call an initiator. Chase is a harmonizer, and Josh is an analyst. So what that means is that I will advocate that we jump really quickly. Chase will try and make sure that, have we thought about everything? Is everyone on the same track here? And then Josh would say, how much is it going to cost? But have you thought about this? Is it really necessary? And that sort of tug of war is really, really, really great. And it's one of those things where I think even if you use the comparison to a family, at the end of the day, we're all aligned. We all know, where the direction of the business is going. We agree on that. But how that happens is up for debate. And that sort of debate really allows us to make sure that no one just comes up with an idea and everyone just says yes, 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 and then in actual fact you're going straight into a wall. So it just really allows us to challenge each other and hold each other accountable, which I think is a very, very big thing.
So you're a sort of a ready, fire, aim kind of guy?
Yeah, I think so.
And Chase sounds like a ready, aim
yes.
type.
Get it right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, that's it. Well, you need the combination. You need the sales, you need the anchor, you need the
definitely
the rudder in any kind of business. And if everybody thinks alike, and that's usually a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a smart guy. You qualified as a CA at a very young age. You could probably have secured a well-paying job working for a big company. You mentioned entrepreneurship drew you from varsity days. So what were the key decision points that led you down this route?
Believe me, my fiance's even asked me this from many times of the stresses in arriving at home. And she just says, why don't you just go get a corporate job? So I have been asked this.
Sorry to interrupt, but I believe Ernie Els's mother still asks him, when are you going to get a real job?
Exactly. So, so I think for me, the real thought process here is that I'm really energized when I get to try new things and experiment with different things and ways of doing things. And I think the environment within a corporate, a very structured environment, is just not, from my experience thus far in working with corporate in my articles, I just don't think right now that I would be best suited for that, and I would be allowed to naturally flourish from that. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily that I'm anti-corporate, it's just that I don't think that's the right environment for me at this point in time. And so the eHire business as it stands is, I consider it, the bricks and mortar, these four walls. If you think about it, it could actually have been any type of business. At the end of the day, what we're doing is not very romantic in the sense of, prepare glasses and furniture and so on, and we hire it out and we collect it when you're done, and we do it all over again. So the actual day-to-day task of it isn't necessarily something that is stimulating. However, the overall goal and my passion specifically around people and how do we create the best environment here for everyone to naturally flourish. How do we make sure that it doesn't matter if someone's coming from Athlone, someone's coming from Khayelitsha, someone's coming from Kenilworth. How do we make sure that everyone within the same space, even coming from very different backgrounds and different upbringings, how do we make sure that they feel safe and that they actually can flourish within their own right?
Yeah, okay.
And that could happen in any business, in my view. So eHire was just a natural progression, from the hospitality industry, which I've been in for quite some time now. So I think that in future, I definitely, would love to take on new avenues in different industries as well. But this will continue, and this will, continually. What we always try to say is that we want to try set the example today for South Africa's tomorrow. That for us is a big thing. Is how do we build eHire to be a tangible expression of what South Africa's potential could be. And I think that for me is the real passion here. Washing the glasses and so on is just the task, but the overall goal here is much bigger than that.
So what do you look for in an employee, a colleague? If you had to appoint someone reporting to you, what kind of person would you look for? What kind of attributes?
We have the whole core values of eHire, and in terms of the expression of that or the behavior of that is what we call the eHire way. Mm-hmm. And so we want to look for someone that aligns with the eHire way. So to give you an example, one of the core values that we have is work fast, work smart, but always be safe. And we want to have someone that actually is going to prioritize those three elements in that order. Mm-hmm. Because as I've said now, is safety's number one, because you can work fast and you can work smart, but if you're not safe, then you're not fulfilling that. Mm-hmm. So in employing someone, in recruiting someone into our business, they need to be aligned to the eHire way. And there's many other ways out there, but this is our way, and this is what we've chosen, and this is what we believe, allows us to drive with momentum. And the person overall, though, outside of the eHire way, just them as a person, their character, I think they need to have a serving attitude. They need to be a real person that is willing to serve others. I think that nowadays there's a lot of people that want to be, served upon. They want to be the person that receives instead of gives. And I think in our business, specifically in hospitality, we have to have people that are willing to give, that really naturally want to give. It can't just be the technical side that we look for. It has to be the sort of hospitality aspect of their character.
I used to have a motto where if you're not serving the customer, you'd better be serving someone who is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, if you ask people in a corporate, so actually who pays your salary, when they say the finance department or the HR manager, and maybe one out of two of them will say, well, actually the customer pays us salary.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also think, the take that we have on this also is that the priority for me is very much to serve my team. That's my complete responsibility, is to serve my team so that they can serve our clients. Mm-hmm. But for me, the first priority is my team. I think the best analogy of this is if you think about a conductor of an orchestra, the conductor, he is or she is the leader, and he is actually facing the team with his back facing the audience, and his team then, so he serves his team so that the team can serve the audience, i.e. face the audience. And I think that's really the role of the leader, is to prioritize the team, and the team will then serve naturally your clients or whoever it is.
I think it was Benjamin Zander, the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic, very famous guy, wrote many books. And he said in one of his books, it took me many, many years as a conductor before I realized I was the only one not making a sound.
Yeah, that's true.
So did you have to get investors? How did you buy into this business?
So when I started, initially when I was doing my studies, that was just self-funded and growing organically. And then I was chatting to my mentor at the time. And when I was chatting to him about the opportunity for me to now decide whether after my articles and I qualify as a CA, whether I go corporate or entrepreneurial, he said, if you go full-time, into your business, I'll back you. Mm-hmm. And so that really was an incredible opportunity for me then to go full-time, knowing that I had a business partner on board that was willing to assist with finance in growing this business, quite quickly. And so for me, he's still on board now and very long-term focused. We really want to build a fantastic business, and it's not about just, quick short-term mindsets. It's really focused on the long term.
When do you think you might need some serious funding that maybe your current mentor backer won't be able to afford? Is that likely that you're going to need serious money for expansion?
I think so. The natural step for us is expanding geographically into Johannesburg. I think everyone knows that Joburg is bigger than Cape Town from an economical point of view. And my business partner at the moment, he is in a position to help with that sort of expansion. But as I've said, we really want to build a fantastic business here in Cape Town. And we want to make sure that we build a scalable business, because my view is that I think there's a lot, especially within the hospitality industry, in the events industry, there's a lot of what I call lifestyle businesses. Mm-hmm. And those are like lifestyle funding businesses. So the person that is running those businesses or running the business is really focused on making sure that they get an X amount per month and, to maintain their lifestyle. And that's great. But from an expansion point of view, what that means is that there isn't too much innovation because they're happy with X amount once they've received it.
Yes.
Where what we're doing here is we really want to create and scale this business. My business partner now, the reason why I actually, chose him, and, it's a two-way street, because I knew from a long-term point of view, he would be the right partner along that way. He has managed to have some capital from his experience. He's in his late 50s now, so he is in a position, I think, to fund it, but we're going to do it logically and kind of systematically.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy, if I may comment here, to consolidate in one area before you move to the next. People often try to spread themselves all over the show, realizing, they don't realize that the same resources have to service all of those places and
having the right partner, because I think,
absolutely.
I see online a lot of these articles and magazines now. I think it appears that it's more about announcing that you're getting a round of funding than actually announcing that you got your next customer.
Exactly.
In terms of growing your business. So I think that the perception that comes from getting a round of funding, it seems extremely romantic. And I think there's a lot of hard yards that need to be done after that, and there's a lot of pressure. So finding that right person, not just from a financial point of view, but someone that really aligns to the long term. To give you a simple example, from the first day, I said to my business partner, I said that my priority is the people. We need to make sure that we employ the right people. And that was actually a big investment over the last 2 years is getting the right people, not compromising on the service side, on the quality side. So we needed to get those people. And in the beginning, of course, we weren't doing the volume that we're doing now for everyone to be working at their optimum. So we had to make that, I see it as an investment in the beginning, so that we can really get a well-trained team that is able to execute at that scale as we grow.
So what 3 pieces of advice would you give to an entrepreneur starting out in any business in Cape Town right now?
Oh, okay. Only 3 pieces.
The main 3 pieces.
Yeah. So I think that if I summarize it or kind of just select 3 top ones, I think the first one is that there is no formula to success. I think that there are principles. I think there's principles, to stand by and never negotiate on. But I don't think that there is a fixed way of doing something. I think everyone does it in a different way depending on the environment in which they're in. So just to give an example, I started my hospitality business not just pure out of, just because. I started it because I needed to pay for university. I was in a position where I had to, pay for my living expenses, so I had to find something. And this is what I found. So I think the first one is there's no formula. It will depend on your environment and challenges and opportunities within there. And then I think the second one is to realize that you will overestimate what you can do in a day, but you will underestimate what you can do in the year. And I think that's something that really, but keep that up, keep on overestimating, because that allows you to then really shoot the lights out over a long period of time. And then the third one, and this might seem really simple, but just realize that every person wants to feel important. And I think it's such a simple statement, but every single person, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, they want to feel important. And they call it, they're wearing something on their forehead that says, make me feel important. And I really think that you can use all the jargon that you can in this, in this age, and the words that are trending right now, like entrepreneurship and disruption and all those things. But fundamentally, if you can make someone feel important in a sincere way and allow them to actually then take that on and take that confidence to go further, I think that's excellent. And that's what we're doing here in terms of the environment, is how do we make people feel important, safe, so that they can naturally flourish as well.
A lovely little book called The Power of Charm. In fact, I will cover that in a later episode. But the author, Brian Tracy, says, one of his quotes is, the biggest compliment you can pay anybody is to pay attention to what they're saying.
Yes, yeah, I agree 100%. It's so true.
Without going into any specifics, can you give us some idea where Grant is going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Where I'm going or where the business is going?
I
think it's interchangeable, right?
Might be yeah.
Okay, so for me personally, I would love to, as I said before, I have a fiance, we're getting married this year, and definitely want to a kid one day within the next 3 years. I think that would be a huge privilege. But then from a business point of view, I think that we want to continue with the momentum that we're doing right now. And we are very certain that where we will be from a physical point of view in 3 years' time is in Johannesburg. And the type of business that we have right now, we definitely see it evolving to include a huge portion in the digital realm of things. So, for example, the industry is very, as I've said before, focused on the offline side, and it's not as online. You wouldn't expect it to be as mature in the online space. And we're really trying to drive that, and we're really trying to be an enabler for other businesses out there, so that we can connect what we call event hosts like you and me, or professionals, to connect with reliable and verified suppliers. Because we're finding that quite a big thing is we have a lot of the information. So there's a lot of asymmetric information where we have a lot of it, and our clients or private individuals, that are hosting a birthday or, trying to DIY their own wedding, they don't necessarily know all of the information out there. So how do we get that to them? How do we give them that, reliable, verified information? And I think that we can do that. So I think eHire will evolve into more of a marketplace where people can actually not necessarily purely just transact on there, but connect on there with particular verified event providers.
Okay, now, if you could change one important thing about business today, what would that be and why would you do that?
So I think overall with business, I think the level of short-term focus is absolutely destructive. I think that this, I think the word that they use is short-termism. And this is really, really becoming like an epidemic, I think. Being a CA, I kind of I've been exposed to the JSE listed companies or a few of them and been able to analyze and see how they strategize and how these CEOs are doing things. And this idea of just every year retrenching, cutting costs without any real innovation and real focus on the long term, I think that really is a concern. I think that we need to, overall as a business community, there needs to be this change in a paradigm, to focus on the long term. And instead of focusing on, every 6 months when you're sending out your interim results and then your final results and trying to just show an increase in profit, to really be mature about it and understand that business doesn't just go up. There's a cycle to business and things do go down and they do go up, but overall they should be, if you're running a great business, overall in the long term there should be an upward trajectory. So I think this whole idea, this expectation that business must just go up and never go down, and if it goes down, it's a catastrophe, I think that really needs to change. And I think that our leaders, the people in those positions, really need to advocate for that and really try and push for that. And I think, just to use an example, I really admire Adrian Gore of Discovery, because I see that he does that. He invests in businesses and he just tells the analysts, by the way, profit's not going to be as expected because we've just invested in a bank, or by the way, profits are because we've just gone into China. And he's very honest about it. And overall, you've seen that business do really, really well because he's focusing on the long term, not on the short term.
Mm-hmm. Finally, Grant, you look like a pretty relaxed sort of guy. What, if anything, keeps you awake at night?
Oh, what keeps me awake? Lots of things. I think if any entrepreneurs listening, cash flow.
Yes.
The big thing here is that, when you grow a business, it takes cash. And it doesn't matter if what you're doing is profitable. To grow a business still requires cash to continue that trajectory. To use the founder of Nike, he literally had hardly anything in his bank because he kept on investing back into, I think it was Full Night, and he just continually invested back into shoes. So he never really ever had a positive or like a very favorable bank balance, but his business was growing. So just for me, that's the one thing, is the cash side, to maintain the growth, but at the same time not grow too fast, because that will then drive the cash. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is, I think my team. I think everyone's going through their own personal battles, and a lot of the time it does come into affect the workplace, and it sucks. It really does suck to have people that are in extremely terrible environments and not being able to help completely with it. And then also trying to create that space that when they do arrive here, that it is as safe as possible, and they're treated with dignity, and they are given the opportunity to think big, and to given the opportunity to realize that they are more than what a lot of people tell them they are. And I think that for me, it keeps me up at night a lot, because I really do want the best for my team, and I want people to excel.
Great. Grant, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to watching you excel. So,
thank you so much.
Thanks. Enjoy your day.